introduction. Hi everybody. Let me see if I got my clicker. Thank you, Daniel. Hi everybody, I'm Kate Drain. I'm here from Indiegogo. Is everyone familiar with Indiegogo? Oh, good. I like this. So it's funny, I'm very happy, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. So I've been working with Indiegogo for nearly 3.5 years now. One of my first talks was actually here at Parasoma in that room. And it was around 3 years ago and maybe like 3.5 months ago, or like 3 months in. And it was just an incredible feeling to get to be here again, and this room is so, you guys are doing such amazing things and going from idea to IPO, so I'm happy to be able to be here and talk with you about it. Just so you guys know, setting the stage, at the end of this presentation, I'm happy to share this presentation with you. My email is going to be on the last slide. Additionally, there's going to be a slide that's all filled with best practices, and so it's going to be one of those like take a picture of it slide, so just know that that's coming, okay? So again, hi, I'm Kate Drain. When I started with Indiegogo 3.5 years ago, Indiegogo actually launched the crowdfunding industry in January 2008, and I was part of their Series A hires. And so here in this room, just so I best understand who I'm talking to, how many people here have contributed to a campaign before? Awesome, good. And then how many people here have started a campaign before? Who have launched one before? Excellent. And then how many people here are looking to launch a campaign in the future? Good, okay, good. You guys are all in a good place then. So what I'm hoping that at the end of this campaign, or at the end of this presentation, that you will feel like you have the tools to feel empowered to go out and make that happen. That's my intention, so just so you guys know that you'll have actual, like Rob was saying, Rob, thank you for inviting me and having me here, that you feel empowered and that you feel actually like you have tools. And also, again, my email will be at the end. I'm happy to share with you best practices at the end as well. So just to give you guys a little bit of story about me, how I got to Indiegogo in the first place, I'm an entrepreneur. I started a small business here in San Francisco called the Can Van. I went to Presidio Graduate School, got my MBA, and a few of my classmates and I came up with this. We saw that there was a need for small businesses, for small breweries, that they had packaging problems because they weren't able to access the tool or the distribution because they didn't have the equipment, and they didn't have the equipment because they didn't have the capital or the space or the labor. So, and it was just because there was a canning line that cost $100,000 or $200,000 to buy a canning line, and they didn't have that money for one, and then two, if they would have had it, they only would have used that machine 1 to 2 days a month. So it would have just sat there idle. So we're like, what if there was there's 100 breweries within a 2-hour radius of San Francisco. We're like, what if there was just one canning line and we serve a lot of different breweries and we really make the most out of that equipment? And so that's how the Can Van was born. And when we were getting started, like a lot of small businesses, were like, how the heck are we going to get started? We're 5 people who don't have access to VCs. We don't have access to lots of seed funding. And also, this isn't like a scalable business. We were looking to be a small business that bought a canning line. So we turned to Indiegogo. And so we came to Indiegogo in the fall of 2011, and we set up a modest goal of $10,000. And we raised $4,000 of it. We learned some very important things, like don't charge $150 for a t-shirt, pro tip. People don't want to pay. We had one person pay it was our marketing teacher. I still feel like I should pay her back for it. So we learned a lot through the campaign, and for me, the biggest learning that I took from it was that crowdfunding was so much more than money. Because through our campaign, we got featured in Fast Company 4 months before we were operational, and we didn't have any contacts there. They just saw our campaign through the platform, and the woman who wrote the article was very interested in sustainability and beer and women. So she's like, oh wow, this is exactly what I want to cover. Secondly, our largest investor actually found us through the platform as well. She only invests in boozy enterprises owned by women, and we fit that very, very unique niche. And she wouldn't have found us had we not told our story in this authentic way and shared it in a way that got back to her because that was her interest area. So for me, it was this very incredible experience of recognizing that when you put your story out there and you share it and you tell it in an authentic way and you have a clear call to action, amazing things happen. And that it's more than just a way to raise money, that it's actually a piece of marketing collateral. So fast forward to the spring of 2012, so just as a note, I live in Chicago right now. At the time I lived in San Francisco, and I worked in San Francisco and was getting ready to move to Chicago in the spring of 2012, and knew somebody from the Indiegogo team because through our campaign. So I was like, hey, Erica, and networking is why we're all here. So I went to my teammate Erica and I said, hey, you're from Chicago, I'm moving to Chicago in 5 weeks. Who do you know that I should know? She's like, actually, you sound perfect for a job at Indiegogo here in San Francisco. I was like, I mean, that's cool and all, but I'm moving, I have my one-way plane ticket booked, I'm out of here. And, but I thought, what's the harm in interviewing? Maybe it was my dream job, and it turned out that it was. And I'm so happy that I made that judgment call, because now, this is my job. I get to help people who are making their dreams come to life, like Layla. Where did she go? And it's those incredible stories every day. So I've been with Indiegogo for 3.5 years. I've helped launch over 800 companies in that point, and helped raise over $100 million. And it's incredible because it's people like you who are making amazing things, bringing them into the world. So now back to what is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is, I like to think that the term crowdfunding is actually limiting because it puts this really huge emphasis on the word funding. Does anyone else feel that? You're like, this is about funding. But really, I do believe that it's about marketing, that it's creating a piece of lasting marketing collateral that incites people to action. And so when you leverage it, keeping this in mind will dramatically change how effective you are in your campaign. So keeping that in mind is that crowdfunding is so much more than money. It's about getting your story out there. It's about creating evangelists. It's about bringing people in and having them be part of your vision. So who is Indiegogo? Indiegogo was launched in January of 2008, and we launched the industry. 3 people, our co-founders, Danae, Slava, and Eric. 2 of them met at Berkeley, Haas, and they set out to democratize access to capital. And it's amazing. Hopefully this is inspirational to you. When Indiegogo was launching and they were looking for their initial funding, Slava, our CEO, got rejected by 90 VCs. 90. I don't have this in my slide deck. The crowdfunding, because people didn't see the vision. They didn't see that there was a market. They're like, why would people contribute to somebody else, and why would they do that? I don't get it. But Slava had a vision of democratizing access to capital, and he just kept trucking. And so I would just encourage you guys to keep trucking, no matter how many people tell you no. That take the feedback, but keep going. So Slava kept going, and now the industry, I think it's projected to be like a $50 billion industry by 2020, and that didn't exist in January 2008. So why crowdfund? And this is back to, it's so much more than just money. When you're putting your story out there and when you put together a campaign, you are creating a piece of lasting marketing collateral. You are getting market validation. It's people telling you that they want to actually give you money to make this happen. That you get to capture data about them. You get real-time data. So oftentimes so I'm just going to use a product example. When you put something on a retail shelf like Best Buy, that you don't get to see who bought that. You don't get any customer data, but when using a site like Indiegogo, you get to see exactly what their email address is. At the point that they contribute, you get their shipping address. So you can actually start getting smarter about who your customers are and start making smarter decisions on them based on that information. You can also identify influencers. You can see the people who, we have a referral dashboard on the back end, so you can see who are the people who are bringing the most to that campaign in dollars and in views, and then you can reach out to them and be like, hey, you referred 400 people to our campaign and it resulted in $20,000. Let's have lunch. We should talk. So just why Indiegogo? Indiegogo is the world's largest crowdfunding platform, so we are global. Anybody anywhere can start money or start raising money on Indiegogo, and also anybody can contribute to a campaign worldwide, and that's one of our big differentiators. Additionally, our support is bar none. We have the best happiness department so we're based here in San Francisco at 6th and Mission, and people work tirelessly to make sure that you get the answers and you get the support that you need. And also that we're an open platform, so meaning there's no application process. You can get started right away. Because when Indiegogo was founded, it was founded on the idea that we need to eradicate gatekeepers. Like, how many people here have been told no? Yeah, and it sucks, right? Like, no one likes hearing no, and so all of our founders had this experience where they wanted to make something happen and they were told no. And so they thought that if you had a great idea and you connected with an audience that cares, that should be the thing that propels you to success, and that's how they created Indiegogo. And so what that means is that if you want to raise money, like there have been some weird things that have raised money on Indiegogo. One of them is my favorite. It's called the Christopher Walken Rex. Did anyone ever see this campaign? It was amazing. So it's an enormous statue of a T-Rex with Christopher Walken's face on it, and it raised like $2,000 to make it happen. You're like, well, how? Okay. And so I contributed to that campaign, and I got he drew a picture of me and drew a picture of a T-Rex and put my head on it. It's the treasured Indiegogo perk that I have. But again, you can raise money for anything. And so this is more, so just so you guys know, for me, I'm part of our hardware vertical. Is anybody here launching a physical product? Awesome. And so because it's not applicable to necessarily everyone, I'm happy to talk to you guys more specifically about like hardware and why hardware, but we're open to all categories. You can test your market, you can capture loads of data, interact with your customers. It's flexible, and raise more money. So let's break this down. When running a great campaign, so it all comes down to your pitch, your perks, and your promotion. Also, I say, and this isn't on my slide, but I see the way that every successful campaign gets boiled down to the same three things. And the first is build an engaging pitch. The second is connect with an audience that cares. And third is proactive communication. And so we'll break that down more in here, but just even if you forget everything else that I said tonight and all of these other amazing slides that I have behind me, that when you're doing anything, ensuring that everything you're doing is laddering up to one of those buckets. And so do like a gut check. If you're like, oh, we're gonna, like, I don't even know something that wouldn't, I can't even imagine something that wouldn't ladder up to one of those buckets, but just keeping in mind that everything that you do should ladder up to one. So first, let's talk about your pitch. So I think that the green bar effect is one of the most fascinating social psychology occurrences. So looking at these two baseball cards, both of them have raised the exact same amount of money, both started on the same day, and both have the same amount of time left. Is one of these, would you be more likely to contribute to one of these than the other? Yeah, and which one? Right. The right. Yes, and why? Chance to be successful. Exactly. And so what the difference is between the two of these is very minimal. Like, I mean, both of them have raised a considerable amount of money, but when you look at that one on the right, you're like, oh man, I want to bet on a winner. That one's going to win. And I encourage you guys to really think about how to set goals and the advice that we give is that set the goal amount at the lowest amount of money that you need in order to move the project forward or move the movie forward, whatever it is that you're raising money for. Like, set that goal amount, because you can always overextend, you can always go farther, you can set stretch goals, you can aim for the sky, but you want to be able to raise. So the rule of thumb that I often cite is that campaigns that raise 50% of their goal in the first 48 hours raise on average 47% more money than those that don't. And so it's this green bar effect. because somebody sees it. And so the campaign on the left, God bless it, and someone looks at that and they're like, what's wrong with this? Could you not even get your mom to contribute to your campaign? But $20,000 is nothing to sneeze at. Like, that's a pretty impressive number, but it looks like it hasn't moved. And this is to further illustrate this point, and I should just, and I'm going to protect the identity of the campaigner, but there was once this robot campaign that was amazing, and the way that they structured their campaign and their outreach strategy was that the day, or like the minute that they went live, they had done no prep work except for like get a ton of press. And so they went live and they brought all of this traffic to it and all of these eyeballs to it, and it had raised no money and it ended up raising $1,000 at the end of the campaign because they brought all these eyeballs to it of like people who were excited, but it hadn't been externally validated yet, and so people didn't feel comfortable contributing to it. And so I'll talk more about this later of how to build momentum and how to set yourself up for success in a momentum way. And a lot of times it's that you have a host committee, you have a group of people who are excited and interested about what you're building, and you set all of that up beforehand, so then when you hit launch, that people are so excited to be part of it that your green bar just goes and keeps going and fills, and then you're like, woo, this is the best day ever, because it is the best day ever. So exactly, so campaigns that hit their goal exceed it and over exceed it. I'm not sure if this video will work, but we're going to show you a pitch video that I really like a lot. I can't make it work. Daniel, where is Daniel? Oh, he's up there. So what I'm going to show you now is an example that I like to show, because a lot of times it's like a question that I get a ton is, how do I make a successful video? Do I need to spend a ton of money on it? Do I need to like really invest in it? And the advice that I would give you is that create a video that you are proud of and that you also believe really represents your brand and what you're setting out to accomplish. So for the Canva, I mean, we raised $4,000, but we shot it with our iPhone. And then this video that I'm going to be showing you, which is, yeah, the skull key. Oh wait, this is the second one. I need the quick key, please. Thank you. And is that to create a video that you're proud of and that you are proud when people contribute to it, or when people post it on their Facebook wall, when people post it and send it in an email, that they want to continue to share it and they want to continue to, quick key. Can you take that part out, please? Yeah. It's that one. Yeah, good job. Okay, so get excited. This is an example of a campaign that I like a lot. Thank you. So how many people remember what the name of the product was? I know it's like right behind you. You're like, I totally know what it is. But how many people could remember what the name of the product was? Yeah, and because they said it over and over, and it was a good reminder. How many people? Do you think it's okay to go to the next slide? Yeah. So thank you. How many people would be able to know who the team was? Like, does anyone remember like seeing that there was a person behind it? Right. And then how many people could cite, like, if I were to ask you like to cite one of the benefits of the quick key? Would you be able to tell one? Yeah. And what I like about this video, what I like that I thought they did really well, was they made it really easy and simple to understand who they were, what they were setting out to accomplish, why, like what the problem was, why they were the ones to solve it, and so who they were, what the problem was, what they were doing to solve it, why they were the team to do it, and what the call to action was. And they did it in this way where it was entertaining, like the guy almost getting hit in the head with the drone. That was hilarious. So that was an accident also by them, but every time I watch it, I'm like, oh look, he almost got hit in the head with the drone. Did anyone else see that? Was it just me? No? Okay. And so there's a strong call to action, and also it felt really honest, it felt really authentic. One thing that I would encourage you is that often, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, but I just want to give a little sneak peek, is that people contribute to campaigns for one of 3 reasons, 3/4 reasons. So the first is the person behind it, or the organization, or the group. The second is because of the perks, the thing they're offering in exchange for a contribution. And then third is the pride in participating and being a part of it. So when people contribute, it's not necessarily they contribute for one of those or all 3 of those, but you want to appeal to all 3 of those sensibilities. Because what you're asking people to do is you're putting something out there, you're putting something that you are putting your heart and soul in, and you want to convey that, and people, that's what people respond to. And so they put their story out there, you connect with Chris because he's talking directly to the camera, he's giving a clear call to action, and also it's like, oh yeah, I've experienced these pain points. I hate having to open up, I was like, I hate having to open up boxes, and I always use my keys, and then I'm always afraid I'm gonna ruin them. So I have a quick key actually on my wallet, which is very nice. I actually recommend to get one. Like I don't work for them, but like it is a really good product. I gave one to all of my family members last Christmas. It was nice. But again, it's because I watched this video, I was like, oh man, everybody can use one. So this is for when so it's like pitch video is one thing, pitch text is a whole nother thing. And so when you're doing this, recognize that you have a video, you have perks, and you have a pitch text. And so in the pitch text, you want to be able to appeal to people just when you're crafting your campaign that both watch videos and then who read text. And also there's people who do both. But for example, our co-founder Danae, she only watches video. She like never reads a pitch text. And then there's me, like I've maybe watched 10 videos in my 3.5 tenure at Indiegogo. And I've watched them typically because the campaign has asked me to, and we're like sitting right there by each other. And it's because I don't have the patience for it. I would much rather try to get the information in the time that I want. And so when you're crafting it, recognize that there is like a Danae and there's a Kate. And both of us want to find out more about what you're doing. So make it easy for both of us to make a quick decision. So things to keep in mind, like using infographics, that you want to be able to show more and to show, like to be able to show people how is this going to benefit them, what are you doing, why are you the ones to make it happen, and why should people care, and then what the call to action is. So talking about perks. So what are perks? Do you need them? Yes. And sometimes no, but mostly yes. And then do they matter? Again, yes. So what are perks? Perks are physical goods, they're digital goods, they are experiences, they're access, they're recognition. I always tell the story, has anybody been, and if you say yes, I'm gonna be so jealous, but any of you guys been to the Good Hop Bottle Shop in Oakland? Anybody? So it's awesome. If you go there, you'll see that I have a what's the thing called? I have a chair at the bar with my name on it. And a stool, yes, thank you. I don't know why I lost that. So I have a stool at the bar at the Good Hot Bottle Shop, and I paid $500 to get my name on a stool at the Good Hot Bottle Shop. Like, why did I do that? I moved to Chicago. Why do I need a stool? But it was because people love seeing their name places, and I always thought that would be so cool to be like, and also, because it's like one thing to have your name on the stool, they even upped it to any time I go to the Good Hot Bottle Shop, I can kick whoever is in my stool out. I get to go up and be like, that's my stool, get out of here. And like, that's amazing. Like for me to get to, like, and I've never done it. I've been there once, but there wasn't anybody in my stool because it had just opened. And I kind of wanted someone to sit down just so then I could be like, it's got my name on it. And because it's how can you give people experiences? So that's one thing, to give experience. And for people who are running apps, like those are also experiences that you can do. Maybe it is, so for the can van, what we had was a mobile canning line. And so we thought about what are things that we can offer again as experiences. One of them was to have people come can with us for the day. Canning beer, it's like you get to hang out with brew dudes all day, you get to drink beer all day. It's pretty fun. Like it sounds like a pretty glorious gig, but it's also like wet and it's also long and it's cold. People paid $400 to come canning with us. Again, because they wanted the experience. Maybe they have a job as an accountant and they sit at their desk all day and they wanted to know what the experience would be like to be able to work out of a brewery because they homebrew at different times, or that they always wanted to homebrew. And so it's how can you create exceptional and interesting experiences that are exclusive to your campaign. So again, it's back to this pride, participation, and passion. So just so you guys know, here are some stats about why perks are important. And so you can do 25 is the most popular perk. The average contribution on Indiegogo is $78, just to keep that in mind. Also, limited quantities create demand. So as you're creating your campaigns, like maybe there is a special version of maybe there's a special meal that you guys host. Maybe I can brainstorm perks for days, and it's pretty fun. But I'm like during the Q&A, please ask me some questions. But what can you offer that people really want? And so oftentimes when I'm talking to people and they're preparing their campaign, since traditionally and usually it's the first 30% are raised from people who know you directly, and then they help to build that momentum for the people who don't know you directly. So talk to those people who are going to be your first contributors, and they know you and they know what resources you have at your disposal, and ask them what they would like to see in your campaign. What would incite them to action? And also for higher price perks, what would incite them again to contribute at a higher number? So you can create personal focus groups through through your perks, where you're better understanding what your price point is, and this again is more for physical products, but back to like what features do people want, where you can, so we had and I realized that there's a lot of like apps in here, so we can talk more about that, but it's when you're thinking about what your campaigns are, and like you can swap out perks, and you can also, a lot of people test pricing through their perks as well. It's all these ways to be able to, you have a really impassioned, empowered audience that wants to be a part of what you're doing, and so make it easy and to have them take action. And also brand evangelists, this is a huge part of it. Just to tell a really quick story, there's a campaigner a company called Light Harmonic, and what they did was create the Geek Pulse. And the Geek Pulse, I don't even really understand it. It was a digital awesomizer for your desktop, and so it's a very niche product, and they knew that it was a very niche audience. So it doesn't matter that I didn't know what they did. They've raised $1.7 million, so obviously I was not their audience, but there is a very huge audience behind it. And what they did was they really, really, really tapped into this power of brand evangelism and community. So they called their geek, like the people who were their community, the Geek Force, and then they put together a forum, which they called the Geek Temple. And then people would gather in the Geek Temple, and so there's like the Geek Force 15, and those are the first 15 people who contributed their campaign. And then there was like the Geek Force 50. And there was this brand identity where they were so passionate about what they're building, they actually put a call to action to the Geek Force through, again, their forum, through the Geek Temple. And Larry, the CEO, he's like, hey guys, so I'm about 80% done with the industrial design of our product. And I need, like, I can keep working on it, but I feel like you guys can help me solve this problem and pose and like put out the designs to the Geek Force. Within 24 hours, one of their community members actually submitted what would become the final industrial design for the product. And so for them, they're like, man, that was awesome. That saved us a ton of development time. And it was somebody who was so passionate about what they're building that they actually wanted to help make a difference, and they wanted to make that mark on their product. So I'm going to talk about the Misfit Shine now. And again, I'm sorry that I have to leave. I'm actually going to the Misfit Shine 2 launch party. So I was very excited. That I can come here, and that it also coincided where I could go to the party as well. But so the Misfit Shine is this nifty little device, and they set out, and this was back in the winter of 2012, and they had developed a product, and the Misfit Shine, and they put it out there, and they're like, you know what, we believe that people really want this all silver beautiful metal activity tracker, and that they're going to wear it on a clasp on their pants. And so they had 700, like nearly 8,000 people said they wanted this product, but also through their campaign, they started getting feedback that people actually wanted it not just to wear it on their waistband, but they wanted to wear it in like a bracelet, and they wanted to wear it in a necklace. And so the CEO Sunny's like, really? Like, I mean, this band thing's pretty awesome. But so they're like, you know, we'll put it out there and we'll see, we'll test it. And so through that process, they actually found out that I think more than 30% actually bought that accessory. And so through their campaign, they were able to identify an entire new accessory, or like a revenue stream, because they asked the question, they put it out there. Secondly, they put it out there, again, it started out as only silver, but they were getting feedback that people wanted it in a different color. And so Sunny again's like, really? I mean, it's all silver, it's beautiful. You really want this in a different color? It's going to be more expensive because it's a much more expensive product at that point. So you're going to pay for it. And so it started out at first at $79, and then they put it during the campaign in the black version. They made 200 at $150, and then they sold those 200 units in 2 days. So they're like, wow, not only did we identify that people want this in another color and they're like rabid for it, but also we might have been pricing our product too low. And so those are these valuable learnings where when you're putting your story out there and you're connecting directly with your audience, that you can test things and you can get that real-time feedback. Speaking about perks and perk tactics, so building on that, you can do targeted discounts. We oftentimes call these flash perks. There was a campaign that recently did this well called CD 102.5 in Columbus. So it was the Keep Alternative Radio Independent. And they did an amazing job, one, attracting huge talent to donate perks to the campaign, but then they would do this great job of introducing it to be like, hey guys, tomorrow, like Modest Mouse is going to be introducing it. We're going to be introducing an awesome flash perk for Modest Mouse. And the next day we'll be doing something for Matt and Kim. And it's because, again, through your campaign, you're able to update the people who have contributed or who have started following your campaign. And oftentimes they actually will contribute again. I contributed, I think, 4 times to the CD 102.5 campaign. And I'm really excited to get all of those perks in my t-shirt. But that's also upselling too, where, except for I just kept contributing. But you can do it where, so there was a campaign called Carbon Flyer, and it was like, hey, yeah, buy the Carbon Flyer, and then later, they would say there's going to be this extra accessory, so if you pay an extra $30, we will give you this extra amazing way to make your Carbon Flyer even more awesome. So think about it as a way that it's not only, again, a one-time contribution that you can encourage people to contribute, but people actually contribute again and again. Another thing that is really great is our referral contests. And so a lot of times this is how people encourage social sharing. And this is how people encourage social participation. So what people do through referral contests is through Indiegogo, you can actually have a referral code. Every person who has an account on Indiegogo has a unique code attached to them. So people will say, hey, if you share your code and you get 30 people, I'm just gonna make up a number, 30 people to contribute to our campaign, that actually seems high, then we will give you a free perk. Or we will, for every person, we will take $5, like we will refund you $5. And so again, that's a good way to get people motivated and keep people active and to get people sharing your campaign. Because at the end of the day, you're not just trying to raise money, you're building your brand, you're launching a market, you're launching your business. And so how can you get people to talk about you and incentivize other people to talk about you? Perk fulfillment, like this is a big one. This is actually what I feel like is the most important slide, is essentially anything that you promise that you're going to do, that you have a responsibility to do that. So I haven't, and everyone tells me that I need to put a picture of this on the slide, but I always get too embarrassed. So when the campaign had our campaign, one of the perks was to get your name on the back of the trailer. And my mom was our first contributor to our campaign, like many people's moms are, or like many people's campaigns go. And she contributed at the $500 level to get her name on the back of the trailer. And so 6 months after the campaign ended, I get an email from my mom saying like, hey, Katie Poo, just wondering, where's my name on the back of the trailer? It's like, crap. So I shoot an email to my co-founders and I was like, hey guys, my mom's emailing, like wondering where her name is. What's the status on this? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna get to it next week. So I'm sure you guys can see what's gonna happen, and you guys have all been building a business. Things slip. So a month later, so we forgot, but mom's she is not going to forget. So a month later, she writes again. She's like, hey, Katie Poo is still just wondering. I haven't gotten that picture yet. So just wanted to say I'm still thinking about it. It's like, dang it. So I emailed my co-founders again. I was like, guys, seriously, we need to do this, or I'm going to forward this to your moms. So, because you don't want to let your mom down. But just thinking about when you guys are setting out to do something that you will be held to that, and oftentimes it is the people who believe in you are going to be, the first contributors are going to be your friends and family, so there's a sense of social capital involved. And so when you're setting out your perks, know how you're going to fulfill it. Make sure that you've accounted for that shipping in, you can set your shipping, how much you're going to charge shipping in your perks. So be sure to do your research and know how much it's going to cost you, because nobody wants to get surprised on this. The Research International shipping is on this. So there was a campaign called the Bug Assault. Did anyone ever see the Bug Assault campaign?
It's awesome.
I know, it's amazing. So the Bug Assault, I encourage you guys, actually, I should have put it up here to look at this campaign video, because it's amazing. It's this man, Lorenzo, and he came up with this idea. It's an orange gun that shoots salt, and the salt will kill flies and bugs. And it's effective. We have one in the Indiegogo office. And the video, honestly, is amazing. He made it for no budget. So he raised $500,000, but didn't realize that we were an international platform. And so all of his profit went to shipping. And he's like, oh man, and he's from Southern California. He's like, oh man, I totally didn't know that you guys were international. We're like, sorry, Lorenzo. So now I'm like, I will make sure to remind other people of this. So research international shipping, and I encourage you that will help you in the future.
It's just very quick. Can you limit it to a specific geography?
Yes.
Electronics are only valid for U.S. approvals and so on.
Yes. Good question. Okay, so now promotion. Pre-launch. So you want to come up with your team, and you want to know who those inner circle is. You want to know who those people are who are going to be making those first contributions. So campaigns that have a team make up to on average 339% more money. So what is that like? I mean, that makes sense, right? The more that you're able to promote it, it's to your network, and then if you have a team, then it's to their network as well, and so on and so forth. The larger you can get your network, the more likely you are to raise more money. don't leave, you have one chance at a first impression, so do as much as you can to prepare. People oftentimes ask me what would be the number one piece of advice I would give to somebody looking to launch a campaign, and it's prepare. Because you are putting your story, again, you're like launching something into the world, and so you want to set yourself up for success by knowing where those initial contributions are going to be coming from, that you want to know who is going to help you get that initial momentum and get the ball rolling, and so then other people feel confident, but to, again, from the green bar effect, to help continue to push you until you can start really getting a lot of momentum. Also building out a team, having a schedule, and again, this wait on press, I encourage you to wait until you at least hit 30% so it converts. We recommend to run your campaign from between 21 and 45 days and to launch on a Monday or a Tuesday. Also, we know, so people oftentimes ask me, they're like, where should I be putting my time into? What I would recommend is as you're getting ready to launch a campaign, build out your email list. So even if oftentimes they're like, well, I don't have a website yet, just get a landing page that has a coming soon, put an email here, and you'll get our first updates when we launch. And then because we often see, again, email brings 20% more than any other channel, and it has one of the highest conversion rates too. Live events. Live events are something that people overlook, but having as much as you can build trust, at the end of the day, this is an exercise in building trust and in having people believe that you are going to do what you say you're going to do. And so having a live event and giving people the opportunity to interact with you one-on-one, that goes a huge way. So I would encourage you to have a launch event, have a halfway through event where you're talking about what you're working on, you're getting people involved, you're building that community. So then not only is it for the campaign, but going forward, those people are going to help you to overcome challenges and to be your advocates.
Do you have an example of that?
Like an event? So I go to a lot of launch events where oftentimes it's like a networking event. And so I recently went to a launch event for a brewery, which was nice, but where we went to a bar nearby, and they had flash perks during the party. And so, for example, it was like, hey, at 8:15 we're gonna have a specific perk. So you wanna be there at 8:15 to contribute to that specific perk, and because you guys are gonna know about it first, the people here in the room. And then, so it'd be like flash perks, also having, maybe there's perks that you can contribute on the spot to be like, hey, who wants to get, if you contribute $45 to our campaign, we'll give you this clicker or something else, where it's building momentum, and so it's different events for different parts of the time. Maybe it's a launch event to invite who's going to be that initial inner circle to be like, hey, 40 people, thanks guys, all of your support that you've given us through now, it is building up to this moment where we get to launch our campaign and launch our company, and we're so happy to share it with you, and we're doing it through this Indiegogo campaign. And so then again, they're helping you to build that initial momentum, so when people who aren't directly connected with you, they're like, oh, this looks legit, I want to contribute to it. We can talk more about it too. Oh shoot, so don't get discouraged. This graph, I saw this graph by someone else recently, and they had this effect, but then it said anxiety line, and it had it over all of the numbers. Thought that was pretty good. So thinking about this, don't get discouraged. Most campaigns have this effect, but what you can do to combat it is to send updates, introduce new perks, to maximize your social media, and also contests, referral contests. Those are all ways to counteract that dumbbell effect. This is all, this I find to be the most surprising slide, that if you update every 1 to 5 days, that you'll raise on average 2 times more. And it seems counterintuitive, because you're like, I don't want to spam people. But so being responsible also with those updates, where the updates are adding value to the people who are contributing and who are subscribed to those updates. So for example, what you can use those updates for, maybe you got some awesome press. Maybe there's something that people that you want to share with people, like news to share with people. Maybe you had a huge person tweet about you. All those things where you are very proud and like that they, again, get to see that you are building something amazing and that they get to be part of it. So yeah, this is like that crazy stat. Campaigns that send an update, at least 3 updates, raise 239% more. And again, it seems counterintuitive, but at the end of the day, it's you are building a community, and the more that people are seeing, so maybe it starts out and it's just like your inner circle that's the one contributing, and then the more that you update, the more then they can start talking about what you're doing. And because at first it's like they're contributing because they know you, and then it starts to the next circle is the people who got connected to you through them, and what they're contributing because they're passionate about what you're doing. And it's like the first person, they were talking about how the amazing things you're doing because you updated them about that. And so it's the more that you are getting people involved, the more that you're giving people to get involved. But don't spam your friends. So then you want to finish strong. You've worked really hard for between 21 and 45 days, up to 60 days. And so you want to continue to update frequently until the deadline. And then after the deadline, this is something that actually, there are more campaigns that fail on this where they don't have that plan afterwards for how are they going to deal with customer support tickets. So having, like what I would recommend to you is to create a Zendesk account, whatever your customer, we call it customer happiness, however you want to approach your support, be mindful of that, because now you've gotten hundreds, thousands of people rally behind what you're doing, and they want to be involved with what you're doing, and so know how you're going to be continuing to communicate with them. And so also continue to use your campaign for marketing. One thing that people don't realize is that you can continue to update even after your campaign is ended. So do use that. Additionally, you'll receive all of the emails of all the people who contributed. So you can use that and import it into your MailChimp, etc. So again, this was the picture that I mentioned about all of our resources that we have. We have a ton. And I encourage you to look at those and there's a lot of guides, and it goes even more in depth than the materials that I shared today. I just gave you a few best practices as you're approaching your campaigns to better set you up for success. Excellent. See, I told you. See, were you guys ready? Do you feel ready? You're like, yes, I had my camera ready this whole time, just waiting for it. And then my name, I was like, I put name. But here's my email. It's drain@Indiegogo. What I can do at the very least is to ensure that we give you feedback on your campaign and get you best practices. So thank you guys so much. You've been an amazing audience, and now I'm opening it up for Q&A.
They say necessity is the mother of invention. Why is it that there are so many unnecessary inventions being created? And easy access to capital with crowdfunding platforms, is that going to encourage more frivolous inventions or frivolous innovation in general?
So that's actually why I love a platform like Indiegogo, that there's no application to get started, that you're like, I've got a great idea and I really want to get it started. And then you get to test, be like, is this actually frivolous? And then you see like the market reacts, the people react. And so maybe it's that people do not respond to it, and you don't get anybody that contributes to it, or maybe it's a huge success. And so, but anybody should have it. That's actually the entire reason why Indiegogo was started, was that there was too many people who said no, that there needed to be a place to say yes. And so it was a way to actually test, instead of always hearing no, that you're like, actually, this is yes. I want to get started and I want to create this, and I believe that there's an audience for it. And then instead of just wondering and wishing or being told no, that you get to be told yes at the end of it. So what I would say is that for an idea that may seem frivolous to one person, for somebody else they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best invention I've ever seen. I'm so glad it exists.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could we see your previous slide during the question?
Oh yeah. You got this one? Okay.
I hate to bring up the competition, but I'm just curious what makes you guys better than Kickstarter. I've heard that Kickstarter has a lot more eyes on the site, and if I've looked at the statistics, it seems like they've raised more money. You said that you're the biggest crowdfunding platform, and I've bought more from you guys than from Kickstarter, so I was just curious, like, what makes your platform better than Kickstarter?
Yeah, so Indiegogo is the world's largest crowdfunding platform, meaning anybody can start or contribute to a campaign at any time, and so that's one of our large differentiators. So Indiegogo gets 15 million unique page views a month, and we've been growing considerably. We distribute millions of dollars every week to every country in the world, and for us, because we have no application process, we're not closed, we're open, which is a huge differentiator for us. Also, one of our differentiators is that it's fixed and flexible funding. So fixed meaning only if you meet or exceed your goal, or flexible meaning any money you raise. So for us, what we're setting out to do is to empower entrepreneurs to be able to go from concept to market faster and better, smarter. And that's what sets us apart, is because we're really focused on increasing and ensuring that you have the best experience possible.
You got it? Okay. Okay. Well, I have a question, but first I'm an advocate for Indiegogo. Colleagues of mine, Scully Helmets, they actually launched their Indiegogo campaign. They were able to raise $2 million within 48 hours. And one of the reasons why they chose Indiegogo is that, you know, you allowed for 60 days. And there was a lot more flexibility than in Kickstarter. So as a result, I'm just a huge advocate for Indiegogo.
Thanks. Tell Marcus I said hi.
So, equity crowdfunding. You know, since the Jobs Act was signed a few years ago, I've heard that Indiegogo is now getting into equity crowdfunding. I'm an advisor, a mentor for a few startups, and so there's a lot of interest in that. And there are statistics stating that I think by 2016, crowdfunding will surpass VC funding. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on equity crowdfunding, where you are with that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So equity crowdfunding is an amazing, so just to break it down, there's a few different types of crowdfunding, and that's a good point to bring up. So Indiegogo is a donation and perk-based platform. So people are contributing either as a donation to just give money, or to get something in exchange for it, like an experience, an object, a perk. And then there is debt-based crowdfunding, which is that you are making a loan essentially. So Kiva is an example of a debt-based crowdfunding platform. And then there is equity crowdfunding, which hasn't been legal, but recently it is becoming, there are many levels to this, but it is becoming more legal. And so equity crowdfunding is something that we're very interested in, because again, our mission is to democratize access to capital. We currently have a landing page. I can't remember exactly what it is, but if you email me, I can send it to you, where we're actively collecting information about people who are interested, so then we can pull them and we can ensure that they get information when we go live. Yeah.
Hi, we spoke about campaigns, and we spoke about the perks and the keeping the customer experience positive, and so when we create campaigns, the first objective is that we should mention in our campaigns that who is this product not for. It's like we want to make it clear, like who's not our target audience. But when you are doing that, it may give maybe it may offend some people that maybe I'm not a target audience, but why are you highlighting that, right? So how to make it positive for maybe who are not a target audience, maybe?
Well, it sounds like, so I feel like there's a couple things to unpack in there. So I'm hearing is, you want to be clear that people know who this product is for. And so was there a reason why you framed it as like who this is not for? Because perhaps by saying, here's who it is for, if you are this person, this type of person, this is going to appeal to you, and then have people decide based on that to be like, this does perfectly describe me. But it's also like during in the campaign, I would even, because that seems like it's telling people who they are. And so maybe if you let people also decide and be like, oh, this is something that is totally for me, but I don't fit into this bucket, or this seems like it's something for me, but I don't fit into this bucket, then it might open up to new audiences. So I'll give you an example. There was a campaign called the Sculpt Aim, and so it measures your body mass, and they set out and they're like, this is for bodybuilders. This is who is going to want this product. And then they actually did digital spend and they did A/B testing for bodybuilders and for people who were more like me. And they found that actually people like me outperformed and outbought it by like 6 to 1. And so by telling people like this is who it's for and this is who it's not for, they would have alienated 60% of their audience. So I would see if there's ways to describe what the product does, and then maybe there's opportunities to learn more about who it does appeal to. Yeah.
Hi, Kate. Whoa, jeez, sorry. My name's Aaron. I'm a data scientist from Galvanize, and you were talking about how you can, there's some data and data analytics on, post-launch after you launch your campaign. I was wondering, is Indiegogo thinking about maybe using data to give founders insights before the launch in terms of how to structure their campaigns and how they can be successful?
So tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for.
Yeah, so have you guys thought about at all how we can maybe use data to give insights to founders, maybe tell them, hey, this is maybe how you should structure your pricing for your
Got it. Yeah, and it's something that it's something that we think about a lot because we want to set people up for success because your success is directly tied to our success. And so we've been thinking about what are ways during the process to be are there going to be pop-ups on the side to say here pricing, etc. Right now we haven't figured out a way to systematize something like that where it's think about your pricing in this way. But I would say it's something that we're very interested in because it's the more helpful that we can be. And when you're studying it out, like I said, you have this one first chance, or one chance to make a first impression. So if you have ideas, come talk to me, or come email me. Yeah.
Hi, Kate. I have a question. Most of the products that you showed so far are physical products. So if one has a online service, so how do we go about marketing that or
Totally.
making a presence?
So what I recommend oftentimes for people who are, what I recommend for people who are launching apps or online services is what's most important is what I would recommend is to set a lower goal and then use it also for marketing collateral, but what you can offer and to look at other campaigns that have been apps, so look at Indiegogo.com and search for apps, and there's a lot of apps that have raised money, and look about what did they offer for perks, how did they structure that campaign. There have been several that have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's also usually, I'm just going to be completely honest, typically app campaigns raise between $10,000 and $40,000. And so it's setting those expectations that it's about telling your story and getting your story out there, and then using that as a piece of marketing collateral to bring it to other other seed investing opportunities, or to use that to bootstrap.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and so I would just say look at Indiegogo.com and look at apps, and then just look at all those examples. Yeah.
Hi, Kate. Warren Nielsen with Stokeshare. Thanks. It was a great presentation. Appreciate it. The question I have is, you mentioned the value of preparing for your campaign and how campaigns that prepared very well had a lot more success. Can you dive into that a little bit more and talk about the successful preparing for the campaign?
Yeah, you got it. So some things to really think about as you're preparing are oftentimes, so we have a pre-campaign checklist, which I'd be also happy to share. But it's going through that checklist and be okay, have I reached out to bloggers? Do I know who my first contributors are? Do I know, do we have our video done? Do we have our pitch decks done? Do we have our perks done? Do we know what the schedule is where we're going to have our updates? Do we know what our social media schedule is going to be? Do we know who's going to be handling any support tickets? Do we know how we're going to be receiving support tickets? who, and I, like the most important one is just who are gonna be the people who contribute on that first day, and then are they adequately prepared and excited and ready, and that they know that it's coming. So there's so many campaigns that maybe they're like, oh, I don't want to bother them or whatever else, but what we recommend is a email about a week before your launch. So we recommend to launch on like a Monday, so a week before, to be like, hey, it's coming, it's happening, and thank you guys for all your support, it's finally all that's going to come to life. And then on Friday be like, okay, 2 more days, and then to send that email at the moment that you launch to that, so we call it a host committee, typically a group between like 10 and 100 people that are the people who you know are going to contribute on day one, and you know how much they're going to contribute to. So, and it's also setting that goal amount, knowing what's going into that goal amount. Is it going to be covering your shipping costs? Is it going to be covering all of the work that it's going to be, your time? Who's going to be handling like your social media? Who's going to be handling all of the details? So preparation's important. I would say, like, there's a pre-campaign checklist on Indiegogo. Look at that and then cross off the checks.
Cool. Thank you.
Wow. That was exciting. Like, we're like really grateful.
So I've actually got about 4 questions. The first one, you'd mentioned that we'd get access to your presentation. So when do we get that, or how do we get that?
Yes. So where's Rob? Yes. So is there? You'll get it.
Second question, so we reach out to our contacts, folks on our mailing list, etc. Get closer, all right. So if we are reaching out to our own folks, what's preventing us from launching on our own website and taking pre-orders? Because anyway, we're reaching out to our contacts that may be on LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. So my bigger question is, does Indiegogo do anything to help promote our product, if you will, on their platform to their members?
Yes. So that's a very important point, back to actually the differentiator that I thank you for bringing it up. So the way that our promotion works, it's all based on GoGo factor. And so again, Indiegogo gets 15 million unique page views a month. And we also have a newsletter that goes out to millions of people each week. We have different social media feeds that have hundreds of thousands of followers on it. And the way that all of our, and also there's a trending section, etc. And the way that all of that promotion works is that we have a merit-based algorithm that tracks the level of activity of a campaign, both from a campaigner side and a contributor side. So what does that mean? Well, from when you're thinking like merit-based, so Indiegogo was designed to ensure that people who had great ideas, who were willing to put in hard work and connect with an audience that cares, that's how people got visibility on our platform, or that's how the best rise to the top. And so the more that you are sharing, the more that you are updating, the more that you're commenting back, and the more that people are coming to the page, the more that they are sharing, the more that they are they're commenting, that's the more visibility you get on our platform. So it becomes our go-go factor. And so that's how promotion works on Indiegogo.
Sorry, last question. So this lady here was talking about videos, you talked about authenticity and about some people get, I guess, a better look like Brad Pitt, so they obviously get better views. I've been told by my ex that I'm usually wanted by the Homeland Security, wanted dead or alive. So what would you recommend that a person with my looks, should I put out a video with my looks, or should I get somebody else to do it? How would you recommend?
I feel like you look, this is.
I'll tell you what my ex told me. So.
Well, she's great. I would say, it's all about how are you representing your brand and how do you want to represent your brand. And because at the end of the day, you're building a business and it's behind you. And so I would, my natural inclination is to say to be in the video and have it be you, but at the end of the day, you want to show it because a lot of people are going to be contributing because they know you and that they're connecting with you. And the advice that I get, so some people are like, well, I just don't want to be on camera, but I'm the person who's behind it. And for people who are in that position, what I recommend is who is somebody that they feel represents their brand well, and then have them in the video.
All right, thank you.
You got
Hi. So I'm starting a Christmas holiday-based nonprofit. And since I don't have a lot of time between now and Christmas, so I'm launching it Monday or Tuesday of next week. And I just started writing the campaign last weekend. So it's going to be... So the question is a 21-day campaign okay? Or should I just go for the 30-day as...
So oftentimes the campaign duration, what oftentimes it's set by is a person's ability to pay attention to it for that amount of time, and also how much time do they have to devote to the campaign, and how long do they think their audience will tolerate it, essentially. So those are how to set campaign time. So it's like, do you have 21 days or do you have 30 days? Also, do you need those contributions in a set amount of time? So those are things that would inform your decision about how long to make the campaign. But building on that, just so you know, Indiegogo just launched our sister site today called generosity.com. And so generosity.com is our sister site that is devoted to nonprofits and personal cause related campaigns, and it has 0% fees on it. So just so you know, that could also be an option for what you're building.
Okay, and does that get the same crowd as the original site, or is that separate?
So it is promoted by Indiegogo. So we just transitioned from the name Indiegogo Life to Generosity today. And so it has the audience that Indiegogo, because now Indiegogo Life directs to generosity.com. So it has probably half the audience of Indiegogo, but Indiegogo still promotes generosity. So there's still promotion opportunities, but again, it's 0% fees.
Got it, okay.
I can explain it more in case it's confusing later.
Yeah, I can send you an email, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, thank
cool, you got it.
I don't know if you have still time with 4 minutes left,
yeah.
but yeah, thank you very much. First of all, it was a great presentation. So my name is Cihan. My wife and I are starting a consulting business to help startups and technology companies in Eastern Europe, like really small teams, and help them basically market their ideas back in the US. So I'm coming from a technology world, and my wife is getting her PhD from intellectual property law in Berkeley. So we're not designers, we're not like creative content person. So does Indiegogo help to campaign owners about like PR consulting, or finding an agency that could help us to create those kind of video productions? Like, do you recommend campaign owners those kind of consulting businesses, or do you have your own service to help that?
So we're currently in the process of putting together a vendor list. It's still in the process right now, but if you email me, then and because we would rather have people make informed decision than being like, hey, use this particular person. But if you email me, then I can send you a couple and tell me what you're setting out to accomplish. I can send you a couple people that might fit the bill.
Sounds great. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you.